Hello again and welcome to RP-0 America. So we are finally entering the sphere of influence of Jupiter here, and I have a craft, let's just go visit it, that is pretty far out from the actual Jupiter itself because Jupiter has such a large sphere of influence. And I launched this craft so long ago, I'll have to look back to see like which video I actually launched it in, but by my modern standards, like, I don't play with remote tech, as you can clearly tell by the terrible little antenna that I'm relying on here. Let's see, I should have some analyze telemetry. Should have some science on this thing that I'm able to send. There we go. So I will anything else I send out this far, I will absolutely put a real antenna on, because this is just. Even though I don't care for a lot of the remote tech mechanics, particularly with stock KSP now having kind of a mechanic for antennas and range and stuff, I'll take a look at that and be more realistic, because using a Sputnik antenna at Jupiter's range is hilarious. So we're so far away from Jupiter with this craft, I can't even see it here. Like, that could be Jupiter. That, any of those weird blobs in the sky could be Jupiter at this range. So just do weird things to be able. So I have another craft that's 30 days away from the distance, and as I'm sorry, I think it was winged, but somebody else could have been told me that the reason I couldn't put flags down on the moon was because I didn't have the upgraded astronaut complex, which they were totally correct about. So that's, I'll be waiting until after that is done, at least, to send out my next mission. I might even have moved over to KSP 1.2.2, depending on how lucky I am in the next week or two, setting up a kind of a dev/play install of RP-0 and 1.2.2. But yeah, these Jupiter flybys could very well be the last lab videos I record within this KSP 1.1.3 environment. It's definitely treated me very well, and whenever I switch background environments, I create a new playlist. Jupiter's got this wiggly wobbly view. Yeah, when you're close enough, it doesn't do that, but that might be a Muar pattern or something. It's something about how we render. Anyway, I'll ignore the graphical glitches. I always note them to see if I can figure them out and fix them, or find somebody who can. Anyway, I just in the Jupiter sphere of influence here, so I'm trying to get as much science as I can, although I am kind of flying by Jupiter's belt. I was hoping to do a flyby of a planet, but I think the issue is Jupiter has such a strong gravity well that if when I try to make adjustments so that I could hit Io or Europa, and I kind of made a half shot at Ganymede as well, it just won't show me closest approach information. I think it's because the spheres of influence for these planets is so small. So let's pull up some of this info. So rotation to sphere of influence is huge. So if I go to Io, focus view, let's see, sphere of influence. So for this, the sphere of influence for Io is only 7,800 kilometers. I'll have to check with Earth, because to see what is that. Is that from the center of the planet or from the surface? I am unsure. And say for Europa, focus view. See, it's just such a tiny sphere of influence for these planets, or sorry, for these moons. So that could be why it makes, even though they're relatively sizable bodies compared to some other bodies within the solar system, just because they're moons of Jupiter, and they're so close to Jupiter, they may just have very small spheres of influence. So you'd have to actually be quite close to get data about that. But the way that appears might be different in 1.2.2, since I know Nathan Kell, while working for Squad, had made some changes to how some things had worked that might actually behave a little nicer for Jupiter in that. Or there might be some way we can, with RSS kind of janky, adjust that rather than letting it be manually or automatically produced or calculated for Jupiter, just because it would be nice to be able to hit these. Or of course I can use a proper gravity model like an adult. And we'll see if I do that in 1.2.2. But anyway, so I wasn't able to confirm that I'm able to get a flyby of those, but by doing this adjustment here I have set up for 14 days from now, I should be able to get a flyby of Saturn. Focus view. And so that isn't going to be quite right, just because I set up a second maneuver node here. Here, I'll just set it to be -1. Just set it to be really small. But I did set this up so that I should be, it's going to be in forever. As you can see, it's like 20 years or something from now, because of the swing it does. But you know, it's better than nothing. I was trying to hit Uranus with it, but I was unable to. So getting any secondary encounter is better than nothing. So I consider being able to get that a win. So I'm just going to warp till 14 days from now, and then set that up, and then carry out that burn. And hopefully I can kind of just do this burn quickly and then warp closer to Jupiter, so that hopefully I can actually make it out of these stars. And then I'll be switching over to the other craft, and then just kind of with the remainder of the time of this video I will be seeing what I can do with that. Because with this one, you know, I was within the sphere of influence. I had done a little bit of science by, oh wow, I warped way past it, didn't I? Oh yeah. Oh well, it doesn't matter terribly much, I don't think. I'll just remove all the maneuver nodes for this craft, and the RCS is so powerful on this thing. Alright. Alright, so just do some of that burn. I'll get rid of these maneuver nodes so I can just actually see when I'm going to be on a course for Saturn. Maybe I did actually screw it up. Maybe, okay, I'll just do it with legit RCS. Okay, there we go. So I now have a flyby, not a close flyby. I'll have to do some adjustments, you know, sometime between now and 7,827 days, 17 hours, 38, etc. from now. So I will set up a maneuver node. Well, I guess I can't set up a maneuver node that far out, can I? I'll have to revisit this craft sometime. Give it some kind of interesting name so I can keep track of it. But yeah, I will set up a maneuver node for this craft when it's close to Jupiter, just so we can actually see it. Add. No, one of you. No, right, sorry, it's good at that. Ranger R5. I should probably rename it. Let's see, near Jupiter. Alright, and let's switch over to this other one, jump to ship, and restore maneuver node, sure, why not? Oh, I could have jumped back. I could have taken a quick look through the sky to see if we could see Jupiter or not. Yeah, I'll be asking a couple of other people who play RP-0. I think Cosmonaut Crash, I think he's the one I saw with fairly recently do a flyby, do a mission of Jupiter, and he got something into orbit. So he may know a lot, because he was waxing poetic about Jupiter. Jupiter is very pretty, and so if he has a love for Jupiter, perhaps he's done more missions to Jupiter and RSS than I have, and can tell me a thing or two about it. Whoa. Alright, there we go. Weird. What's with this red bitness? Alright, so let's just remove all these maneuver nodes. Did I have something cool set up? Maybe. Probably not. Okay. So we are also coming in. Pretty similar track. So let's try adding a maneuver node here. So let's say, what can I do? Can I make it so yeah. Maybe I will do something weird like that with this craft. If I'm not able to hit a planet, I may as well do something like that. So Jupiter has a very deep gravity well, and I mean, that may not mean much, and even the crazy math of the relative velocities of probes and planets may confuse or be meaningless to you, but this is a cool thing that has been done in history by a probe, one of the pioneers, I think, Pioneer 10 or 11. Oh man, my memory's all messed up. One of the Pioneers, or Voyager 1 or 2, one of those great probes that visited Jupiter in a crazy slingshot. What they did was they came in a polar fashion, and in doing so, you get your direction change. So rather than just flying past Jupiter like that, you get arced down. So you leave Jupiter's solar system heading, say, south, if you want to think about it that way, down out the south pole of the sun. And so that will arc you very substantially out of the plane of the other planets. And if you kind of do that just right, if I set up so I have a close encounter and I do that, I could sort of leave the solar system or be way out of plane with all the other planets. which is a neat thing worth doing, even if there's no mission or contract for it. Actually, that shouldn't be a terribly hard contract to set up. Simply tell something to be that far out of the plane of the sun. I'll consider that. There's lots of contracts I'd like to create. Yeah, to do that right now would require pretty much all my fuel to do that extreme. See, if I'd done it earlier, it would have been more plausible to come in just over, let's say, the North Pole of Jupiter. So let's see. It may also be easier if I... no, I can't adjust, say. Well, I can try to adjust some of these other things. Yeah, see, that gets me there, but it uses like every drop of my fuel and it doesn't get me any closer to Jupiter, which is kind of another thing I like. Ooh, that's very appealing, isn't it? Using less fuel and being closer to Jupiter. Wow, that actually like slingshots me not just out that way, but actually kind of backwards. Interesting. There's all kinds of really interesting gravity maneuvers you can do at Jupiter. Oh wow, that is odd. Now that's not going to put me on track for any other planets or anything, of course. Oh, I didn't want to focus. Yeah, it definitely doesn't put me on track for any other planets. So before I do something interesting like that, I do want to illustrate just what seems to be going on. It just seems to be the timing of the planets, where the positions of the planets, of why I can't get a flyby of Uranus. So if I were to adjust my trajectory so I fly closer to Jupiter, that's what this radial burn is doing. It means it's going to slingshot me in a way that I leave with more speed than I came in, more speed in the direction of travel around the sun, and makes it so I can go further out, much further out. So it's set as target. So, oh come on. Do I actually end up encountering something else sooner, maybe? Oh no, maybe I'm just, because I'm out of, there we go. Yeah, it's just that trick. So as you can see, I get close-ish to Uranus. But so here the closest I get is it's gone way past. And so in order to, I'd have to slingshot like this, and that would be like an enormous, say, normal, or it would be a very substantial shift. And I fiddled with it on the other craft, and I couldn't find any reasonable way to achieve that, to get much closer. And that's 750. So yeah, it might be worth fiddling around just a little bit more, but I know that people don't necessarily like to watch Fiddle with Maneuver Node space program. And I just couldn't find any way to get really any closer than that. Just the faster I fling myself out, the earlier in the trajectory here we cross it, and it just doesn't leave at times. So now from here it would have to travel out to this arc, but by the time it's done that, this will have moved on further than it is now, and so there's just no way for me to do a bounce off there. And Saturn is nowhere near the right position for this. It will be quite some time until Saturn has moved into a position where we can do a flyby of Jupiter that slingshots us to Saturn. Because Saturn is moving so much slower, so Jupiter will eventually catch up to it a bit. So maybe in a decade or so, Jupiter will be like here, and Saturn will be like here, and you'll be able to get a sling, like something like a Voyager, Pioneer type mission. And nothing I found could do this. So I figure what I want to do is an out of plane maneuver. So rather than slingshot around it, I'll try to slingshot over or under. So let's set that up and carry that out. It's funny, even though I'm close to this very nice planet, I'm just not getting to actually see very much of it at all, am I? It's all these maneuver nodes and such. So you can thank me for all the maneuver fiddling that I saved you by doing it for the other craft before recording this video. There we go, that slings me way down south, and it uses a lot of my fuel, but that's okay. I mean, there's really nothing else I want to use this fuel for. So that's pretty good. Let's see how close to Jupiter that actually puts us. It's kind of tricky to actually I could cycle through all the planets, but actually getting to click Jupiter from this far out is tricky. Alright, so that will sling me over the North Pole, not too close. Let's see if I can spend, well, radial's going to do, prograde's going to do absolutely nothing. Let's see if I can arc myself. See, when I click on it, it does change, but I have to move the mouse for it to recalculate and show that. So 760 is the most. Okay, that's obviously further away. Okay, right, so if I reduce this, I can get in way closer. That's neat. That kind of reverses my direction of travel. So it doesn't fling me out of planes so much. So so that was fiddling with it the normal. I just want to see what that looks like. Yeah, so let's do it so we're like really close. Pretty much over the, let's do something like that. Alright, so that basically reverses my direction. Like it sends me home, it sends me back the direction I came from, which is interesting. Let's see what that actually would do to our trajectory. So this purple path, weird, it would just sling me out like crazy. Out, wow. That is many days. I wonder why that doesn't ever show years. But yes, that would fling me many, many days out. So now fiddling with this changes that angle. So that I might actually be smashing into Jupiter with that, and that would actually sling me out of the influence of the Sun. Since there's no other spheres of influence, I'm not sure what that actually would mean, but I'll keep that in mind. So yeah, so those are kind of some of the dials I can fiddle with. So close alarm. I have already done this. Alright, so yeah, I'll go with that one. I'll try to get as close as I can then. See how that plays out. Within 10,000, so I don't want to go within the atmosphere. So if I'm focusing on Jupiter, here, let's get close enough it doesn't look crazy. So the atmospheric height, I remember setting this up. The atmospheric height is, yeah, it's weird. I kind of, because there's no sea level, we just kind of recalculated the atmospheric heights and pressure calculation for, and temperatures for all the gas giants kind of on the same scale. So that's why it says 15 atmospheres. So that gets me really close, doesn't get me within the atmosphere. So let's try to fly as close to directly over the pole as I can, if I've got the fuel. Oh, I do. Very nice. So that's pretty good. That's very good. All right, and let's just get a little bit closer. Oop, wrong way, right. A little closer than, that's really close. So there's something that isn't accurate. If somebody wanted to make a mod, or if somebody wanted to like make something that really focused on the outer planets, Jupiter and Saturn, etc., radiation is a huge issue, even for spacecraft. Like, was it the Juno craft that right now is visiting Jupiter? So it, like, what does it have? Like a titanium vault? Like the computers and control of that spacecraft are in a vault designed to protect the hardware from the intense radiation fields of Jupiter. They are very strong and very, very fascinating. So that would be an interesting mechanic to include in KSP, having to deal with that radiation. Those radiation belts. The belts around Earth they're strong. They're not even now not terribly well understood what effect they would have on people traveling through them. But there are also ways to kind of slingshot around them because they're kind of donut shaped, right? So you just don't pass through that donut shaped region or avoid the donut shaped region. So yeah, it looks like this would fling us out of the solar system. So that is certainly worth doing today. So what I'm saying is, even with, say, the space flight my missions are doing now, going to the moon, the radiation would be a worthy component to try to model. But of course, because we don't even necessarily know what effect that has or how bad it would be, it's tricky to model accurately. But you know, it's a game, right? There's kind of a balance you can make. Whereas here we have the Van Allen belts, and your mission is to, you know, not go through them too many times, or going through them has a certain cost or impact. Alright, so we've got this burn set up. Technically it's for 10 days from now, but there's no reason necessarily not to do it. It won't be perfectly accurate in the delta V, but that's okay. Do I have, oh, I don't have that engine on. I must have manually turned it off at some point. Now why can't I click on you? Can I click on you over here? not exactly. Activate. There we go. That's just going to be a lot more efficient. Ah, see, this has a slightly less embarrassing antenna. See, look, I was learning. Actually, this is the Ranger 4. Like, this is. I think in theory this would be an earlier launch. Yeah, this is things I've launched so long ago I do not remember them. Ooh, science. All right, let's transmit you. Oh, I should actually see what I'm doing, of course. But I know that this was burning most of our fuel, and so since we still have most of our fuel, it's not too much of a worry. Oh, weird. Well, that's not quite doing what I thought it would do. I guess maybe the 10 days did make a difference. Okay, so that gets me really close, and it slingshots me back, but it doesn't slingshot me over the pole the way I was hoping to. So that's okay. It looks like I still have plenty of fuel. So let's set up a maneuver node 18 days from now. Now, what would I have to do? No, it is a normal burn, isn't it? Yeah, a normal will do that. And then I'll have to do a little bit of a radial burn to correct for that. Ooh, sorry, Jupiter looks that way. Okay, so now for some reason they seem to balance out. Alright, and that puts it outside of the quote-unquote, atmosphere. That's, I think, way closer than you'd ever take any probe. I'll have to look and see how close Juno and any other probes have gotten to Jupiter, just because the radiation field is tremendous and stronger the closer you are to it, although it has a much more complex shape than that. Alright, so this is 18 days from now, so I can wait 18 days. Let's see why not. Looks like we've still got, we're not doing too bad on battery, even though we're this far out in the Jupiter system. My craft isn't pointed for maximum solar power. Look at how pretty, oh man, those clouds are so cool. Look at that, they change it, what is it, F2? Oh, and that does make the lines go away. Well, that's a shame. I'll have to get my craft out of the way so we can see those pretty clouds. Man, whoever modeled those, gold star, that is gorgeous. Alright, so let's wait those 18 days while Jupiter just trips out. Yeah, Jupiter's sphere of influence is just so huge. Alright, there we go. Close enough. Just a few hours away from that maneuver node. Though, of course, I said that last time and I messed up. See, now it looks like it's going inside Jupiter, so maybe that timing did matter. Oh my. Very inside Jupiter. Alright, alright. Man, I'm terrible at this. Jupiter is beating me. Alright, let's try to make this maneuver fairly close to where we are now. 2 days out, okay, I can handle that. Now I certainly don't want to be inside Jupiter. That would be less than ideal. Alright, so cross it like that. Oh, come on, I want to try to go over the pole if I can. Or close to the pole. Okay, and nope. Looks like the radial burn will have to be, just doing a straight radial burn will be good in 2 days, according to that. Yeah, maybe it is the fact that I'm just off a bit. Maybe that's what's doing it, that I'm just off of straight radial. So that is rotating it, and as you can see, that number is going gradually up, but not by a ton. Okay, I can see that. And now we're outside, so I want to go to about 5,000. There we go. That's pretty good. And different changes we make 60 days before closest encounter will have a very substantial effect. Alright, so let's set up a maneuver node here. 61 days from, wow, that's going to be a very fast transition. So add a maneuver and then set that up as R4 near Jupiter. So those I want to see. Alright, so one is 28 days from now and one is 61 days from now. Alright, so if I look from the perspective of my craft, where is Jupiter? Where is Earth? Or where is the Sun? Okay, Jupiter is So if I look towards the sun and then look left, I should see Jupiter. So where is the sun? I can usually find the sun. There we go, there's the sun. So that could be Jupiter. Again, still can't tell. For all I know, that could be Saturn. Just don't know. It's why I don't necessarily like the detailed, complicated star maps. Jump to ship. All right, so I'm going to do the flyby from the perspective of this other craft. I believe it has all the burns are done and such, so that it's going to do a flyby of Saturn. Eventually, like 10-20 years from now. Now, I don't recall if I've been doing all kinds of fiddling with these installs. If I have anything set up that's going to try to auto acquire science, like you. No, I just want one of you. Threshold, single run experiments. Yep. Transfer science, transfer data. So I'd expect as I move in that I should be getting new science, but it doesn't look like it yet. I guess I'm still high over Jupiter. Fair enough. So we are 20-some days out. Let's just time warp. As long as we're not going to run out of battery. No, we're running it down, but not too fast. And we are warping in 25 days, 24 days. Oh, sorry, I don't need that. That's clearly from previous testing. So yeah, it's been a little while since I've made a video, but I have definitely been doing lots of spare time stuff on Realism Overhaul, on RP-0, and on kind of background stuff for this series actually, because some of the things I'm planning to do haven't, I can't just pull parts from FASA or craft from FASA. I'm working on a way to keep people on the moon for longer. I'm working on craft to visit Mars, space station. There's kind of 3 arms of the things I want to do. And none of them, I can't really ignore any of those 3. And so I'm still trying to figure out what order is the best. There's Jupiter. What order is the best order to do them in. But I'm also, in part, figuring that out by building hardware and mission stuff for it. Alright, so getting closer to Jupiter as it flings out of the dark. I'm also looking at the viability of a wet lab space station, but that certainly won't be my first generation of space station, because to get to the moon, to get to people to the moon as quick as I could, I skipped. I didn't put 3 people into space. I didn't build any space stations. Okay, so we are rapidly increasing. So this is our velocity relative to Jupiter, and it's very, very fast. Let's just rotate so we actually. Whoa, it's like it's. Oh, right, SAS was on, of course. I want to have a position so that we're getting solar power. And I would also, weird, I should have craft control. There we go. So we should either be gaining power or losing power less quickly than before. I'll say before we get to closest approach, I'm just going to double check I don't actually have to do any kind of burn in order to get that flyby of Jupiter, or sorry, of Saturn. Okay, nope, looks like we're good. So I don't have to worry about that. So we came in, obviously back this way, and we're going to be flung out with, I think, a very radial. It's certainly not in the direction the planets are traveling direction, and so that's what's going to fling me towards Saturn. All right, so we are 1 day from closest approach, and that's kind of around Europa. So let's see if I set you as target. See, there just doesn't seem to be. Now that we're this close, it's very apparent that I'm not going to be anywhere near where Europa is here. But it'd be nice to be able to tell that in advance, because when you're dozens of days out, Europa's just not coming around. So how fast is Europa moving? Pretty fast, but not as fast as me right now, and I'm going to get faster the closer I get. So this isn't going to be the closest approach of any of our craft, of course. That other spacecraft is going to fly by Jupiter. Ooh, you can actually see. I should change for, when I'm doing Jupiter stuff, I should change for a sky map that just doesn't have any stars, because there I can see signs of the planets. sorry, I keep calling them planets. Yes, the planets of Jupiter, because Jupiter is a star. No, the moons of Jupiter. You can see at least 2 of them right there, and I don't see any of them on the other side. I don't want to cheat by going out to the further map. But once this number turns to 0, you will know I've hit closest approach. Unfortunately, we've got this effect. Let's call it an effect of radiation for now. Effective radiation on our cameras. It's causing Jupiter to look a little crazy. Oh, some kind of timer. Right, it's telling me that I am near Jupiter. There we go. So that must be where I had the maneuver node before. So we're just very speeding up extremely fast. So there's another thing you could do. If you send a craft by Jupiter, kind of like we're doing now, and you send it with a decent amount of fuel, you can do a different type of slingshot. So here we're just doing a gravity slingshot, right? We're not leaving with any more energy than we left with, or sorry, than we came in with. And now we're heading up and away from Jupiter. So let me just quickly check if it would let me click on any of the parts of my spacecraft. Let's see, analyze telemetry. No, it's just no new science to be had from this far out from Jupiter. That's fair, I suppose. Kind of wish I had something with a camera, but I mean, this is just like an early look at how light this craft is at this point. It's just such a tiny, not very powerful craft. Just our first thing by Jupiter would give us some scan-lined black and white pictures, if that, considering how bad of an antenna we have. When you get really close to Jupiter, you're moving really fast, and so you can use this thing called the Oberth effect. So your fuel would give you more of an impact on your on the velocity of your craft. So rather, not just choosing your slingshot path around Jupiter, but also making a change to your speed when you're near Jupiter would have a very substantial impact. And there we go, never to be that close to Jupiter again. And as we climb away from Jupiter, we are drastically decreasing our speed. Now we're at the dark side of Jupiter. Goodbye. And it's hard to even make it out now. And the same effect would be with the planets, so you would only be able to see the planets, or the moons of Jupiter, by them obscuring stars, because we'd also be seeing the dark side of them. Alright, so this video is a little long, so I'm going to just switch back to you and get that done. Jump to ship. I should really, I'll have to remember to rename these ships, because it doesn't really matter that they were on these Ranger launchers originally. Now, I need to remind myself what they are. This one is just heading out to absolutely nowhere. And the other one is to eventually do a flyby of Saturn. It'll be interesting what I'm doing in my human spaceflight program when that happens. Alright. Yeah, I don't know, it's just not very nice. It's not letting me click on things. Analyze telemetry, no new science. So we're going to be flying over a pole of Jupiter pretty quick. Get rid of that. Yep. And I'll rename this craft. Rename vessel. Boring filler name for now. I'm not very imaginative, but this is going to be flinging in such a crazy way that it is our first craft to escape the solar system, or at least the way that the solar system is modeled here. So we will be getting close enough to Jupiter that it won't be doing that, crazy pattern that we're blaming on radiation. We'll be close enough. I think it's a Morier pattern. I'm not sure. Sometimes you could see it, in particular, in older versions of Scatter and Eve and such, with the clouds of Earth. You'd see that because it's something about the resolution and the resolving power of the. There we go. Maybe like the heights. Maybe these clouds are at different heights, and so when you're that far away, it can't tell which cloud is on top and which is below. So we are flying close over. Let's point the spacecraft at it, because why not? Observe biosample. Anything interesting in there? Sure, but only if we were able to recover it. Well, I don't believe we're going to be able to recover this craft. Maybe it will be interesting if one day we can send something to Jupiter and actually get it back to humans. So will that mean we've brought humans out this far, or that we have very powerful craft that can zoom by Jupiter and come back? Alright, so it'll be taking pictures of Jupiter as we go by, flying over the pole. Vertical speed, so we're losing 27 kilometers per second of altitude, which is having a massive impact on our velocity. So this almost looks like we're kind of in a high Earth orbit. Well, obviously other than the color of the planet. But we are extremely high. But we're going to, the transition past this will be very, very quick once we fly over the top of Jupiter. Still no new science. Analyze telemetry. Oh, yeah, I just must have done something crazy with these science mods that it's not suggesting to me that there's new science. I don't remember. I don't think... Oh, I just hit the 1 key and it's showing me... Oh, I must have set it up that way. Well, past me sure was smart. So just hitting the 1 key reminded me that I can just pole it. So what is it telling me? So timber scan from space just above Jupiter's northern temperate bands. That seems about right. I'll definitely have to send more travelers this way, so we can scan, send something with ScanSat so we can see the biomes. Oh wow, and we are approaching closest approach to Jupiter. Look how huge it is. We're still over 8,000 kilometers above the surface. And there we are. We have passed closest approach. This is what we see. I remember this view when I was configuring Jupiter, just kind of rescaling some things for RSS. Oh wow. Very large. And then we will fly away. So let me just check if there was any new science, because we are no longer over the pole technically. Alright. Yeah, I need to get my mods together when I'm back, when I've got a new setup for KSP and 1.2.2. And I watched some other people playing RP-0 and they've got their mods that immediately tell them, boom, you know, new science, and captures it for them and transmits them. Like, oh yeah, I remember when I had mods that well set up. Good for them. Actually, I could just have it show me the biome. That's the kind of the lazy way that I'm used to doing it. Recorder? Is that what does it? No. Surface? That's probably under MISC. Let's see, current biome. Space just above the equatorial bands. Now is that the one I just captured? Yep, okay. So I'll keep an eye out for that to change. Ooh, southern temperate bands. So a good bit of science here. Takes quite a while to get to Jupiter. But once you can get, it doesn't take a ton of delta V to get to Jupiter. Like I didn't have a very large launcher to do this. You can send a basic probe, but it should definitely have a bigger antenna. If you're honest people or you play with remote tech, then that will be pretty easy for you to do. Southern polar bands, that might be new. Yep, all that science. And then this craft will just be flung away in this crazy path out of the solar system. Southern polar bands, I think that's sufficient. That's good enough. And now we move away from the south end of Jupiter. So, this has been our episode of RP-0 America. Thank you for watching. Could be the last episode from this install. Maybe not. We might have another crewed mission in store, actually. Or I might send a satellite to the moon prior to some of our future human missions. We will see. But yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.